So I rise today, Mr. Speaker, with a deep sense of urgency, a profound sense of purpose, and an unwavering commitment to our people. As I discharge my duty in responding to the 2026 estimates of revenue and expenditure. Mr. Speaker, I stand anchored in gratitude to Almighty God for his unwavering faithfulness, which is captured by the prophet Jeremiah in Lamentations 3:22-23, and I quote, "The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is his faithfulness." Mr. Speaker, in these challenging and uncertain times, this truth grounds me. It sustains our nation and it renews our hope. Mr. Speaker, a national budget is not just a collection of numbers. It is a moral document. It should speak to the lives of our people, their struggles, their hopes, and indeed their future. Mr. Speaker, a budget must clearly reveal priorities aligned with the needs and the aspirations of our people. It must also reflect the government's competence, discipline, and vision. But above all, Mr. Speaker, it must tell a credible story of how government intends to improve the lives of citizens. But, Mr. Speaker, the 2026 budget, despite its glossy summaries, which are captured in carefully rehearsed talking points, it tells a deeply troubling story to those who examine it. A story of financial mismanagement, underperformance, misplaced priority, selfishness, collapsing grant inflows, weakened fiscal discipline, and most obviously, Mr. Speaker, a serious disconnection of government from the daily realities of what is really happening on the ground. Mr. Speaker, how can government ministers beat their chests and declare things are happening when our people across the length and breadth of Grenada are struggling every day? Where is the conscience, Mr. Speaker? Where is the conscience? Mr. Speaker, are we expected to join the things happening celebration that does not reflect the lived reality of our people? Mr. Speaker, if you're on the ground, the average person that you speak to will tell you things are not happening for them. In these difficult times, Mr. Speaker, such a mantra, such a slogan feels painfully out of touch and deeply insensitive. Mr. Speaker, our leaders must speak to the real issues that our people are facing, not paint a picture that ignores their hardships. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 estimates of revenue and expenditure are regrettably no better than 2025 budget. Grenadians are still waiting, Mr. Speaker, for the wow factor, especially that this budget is delivered just weeks before Christmas and just weeks before the dawn of a new year. This budget, Mr. Speaker, provides no hope to the people of this country. Mr. Speaker, let us now place this current budget into proper context by first examining the realities on the ground right here at home. But, Mr. Speaker, before I do that, I want to turn the pages of what the story of the average Grenadian is before we turn the pages of this budget. Mr. Speaker, families are not just struggling, they are hurting. Many cannot afford basic food items. The cost of living has become unbearable, and every trip to the supermarket feels like a painful exercise for survival. Mr. Speaker, electricity bills have skyrocketed, squeezing already stretched incomes. Many are choosing between keeping their lights on and buying medication. In Carriacou and Petite Martinique, Mr. Speaker, families who lost everything during Hurricane Beryl are still waiting for the promised support. They are still waiting for proper shelter, as well as the assistance that they were promised. It was never delivered in so many cases. They are trying to rebuild their lives, Mr. Speaker, under tarpaulins and temporary structures, while the government congratulates itself in AC offices, singing, "Things are happening." Mr. Speaker, across the country, our roads are crumbling into symbols of poor planning, delayed action, and failed leadership. People are driving through potholes that damage their vehicles, delay ambulances, and create unnecessary inconvenience for businesses and residents in the area. The cost of this development is way too high, unnecessarily high. Mr. Speaker, unemployment continues to weigh heavily on many, especially our youth, despite the numbers reported. Many young people feel abandoned, overlooked, and excluded from the opportunities that they were promised. Many small businesses, the backbone of our economy, are struggling to survive. Even large companies, Mr. Speaker, are under pressure. The government decisions, poorly timed, poorly communicated, and poorly thought out, have pushed many to the very brink of closure. Mr. Speaker, many contractors are on their knees begging the government for outstanding payments so that they do not have to disappoint workers ahead of Christmas. Mr. Speaker, imagine this. Some contractors have been waiting over a year, in some cases far more than a year, for payments that are owed to them by the government. I imagine, Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Finance is saying, like Rootsman Kelly, "I nothing, things happening." Mr. Speaker, farmers and fishermen who feed this nation are being ignored. Some have not received a single dollar from the assistance that they were promised after Hurricane Beryl, even though government received $118 million in insurance payouts, part of which was specifically for farmers and fishermen. Mr. Speaker, as farmers continue to fight pedia larceny, high input cost, and poor market access. Mr. Speaker, our healthcare system is in crisis. While the government chases a far-fetched futuristic dream, the hospitals and clinics we depend on today are short of medication, short of basic supplies, short of staff, and short of hope. Mr. Speaker, I'm taking time to put this budget in its proper context. Mr. Speaker, these are not statistics, but these are the lived realities of our people. This is the Grenada that exists beyond the tables and the appendices and the nice words of the 2026 budget speech. Obviously, Mr. Speaker, things are not happening for the average Grenadian. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, I find this 2026 budget to be such a profound disappointment, because it does not address the serious issues affecting Grenadians in this country. Mr. Speaker, people are crying out. not for a budget speech that is loaded with political rhetorics or glossy themes, but for a budget that sees them, a budget that hears them, and a budget that responds to them with urgency, empathy, and compassion. Only then, Mr. Speaker, can they honestly say things happening. Don't just try to convince them that things are happening. They want to feel that things are happening. They want to know that things are happening, especially in their pockets, as the young men would say. Mr. Speaker, only yesterday in Grenville, a small business owner said to me, and I quote, "If people cannot put food on their table, then lights and other projects make no sense." Mr. Speaker, while it is important to appreciate the local context in which this budget is presented, it is equally important to understand the regional and international landscape, factors that can significantly influence our local reality positively and negatively. Mr. Speaker, it's with this in mind that I now turn attention to what is happening regionally and internationally as I continue to put this budget into context. Beyond Grenada, Mr. Speaker, this 2026 budget is being introduced at a time when global, regional, and geopolitical environment is more volatile than any time before in our recent memory. The uncertainties we face today are not abstract global concepts. They shape our economy, our fiscal space, and the daily lives, believe it or not, of Grenadians and Grenadian families. The IMF continues to warn that geo-economic fragmentation, rising sovereign debts, weaker global demand, and climate change poses mounting risk for global growth. At a time, Mr. Speaker, shifting trade relationships and supply chain realignments are putting pressure on small economies like ours. Let us get this into context. Mr. Speaker, what does it mean for Grenada and Grenadians? Mr. Speaker, our import of food, fuel, and basic consumer goods, our people can be affected and are being affected seriously. Added to this, Mr. Speaker, the escalating geopolitical tensions around the world continue to disrupt global markets. These conflicts are driving up fuel costs, raising shipping and insurance costs, and destabilizing commodity supply chains. Grenada is not isolated from these effects. These shocks, Mr. Speaker, influence the cost of food, transportation, and electricity, and they intensify the cost of living burdens for people. Mr. Speaker, what is happening regionally and internationally can affect our people. Mr. Speaker, we cannot ignore the unfolding situation as it relates to Venezuela. Mr. Speaker, both the internal issues and external disputes have implications for our entire hemisphere and can impact regional migration patterns, energy markets, and potential security dynamics in the Southern Caribbean. For small states like Grenada, any deterioration in regional stability can have immediate and far-reaching consequences. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, climate pressures are intensifying. In a global environment where climate-induced disasters are becoming more and more severe, the ability of a government to attract external grants, execute capital projects efficiently, and maintain strict fiscal discipline becomes not an option. It becomes essential. Yet, Mr. Speaker, despite our local realities and these regional and international storms which are gathering around us, what we see in the 2026 budget is not bold leadership, not strategic vision, not responsible governance. Indeed, we see misalignment with the needs of people and a troubling lack of fiscal coherence at a moment when Grenada cannot afford this. This budget, Mr. Speaker, does not relate and reflect the local, regional, and international context in which it is presented. Mr. Speaker, I shift focus now to look at the economic context in which this is presented. Mr. Speaker, to fully appreciate and understand the current economic realities of Grenada, we must understand the fiscal position inherited by this government and the policy posture that it took immediately after the election in the face of regional and global challenges. Mr. Speaker, when this government took office in 2022, it inherited over $500 million in reserves, a primary surplus, fiscal surplus of $84.5 million, an overall surplus of $30.4 million, strong donor confidence in grants exceeding $200 million, a stable and declining debt to GDP trajectory of 63.7%. Mr. Speaker, at that time, we were one of the strongest in terms of fiscal positions in the OECS. Mr. Speaker, it is evident that the fiscal foundation that this administration inherited was robust. But, Mr. Speaker, immediately after assuming office, this government engaged in two immediate actions. One, a spending spree, and two, a CBI drive. Mr. Speaker, in less than 2 years, the government sold more passports than the NNP administration sold over 9 years, raising more than $1 billion in revenue. And yet, Mr. Speaker, not one new investment project to show, not one significant job-creating initiative has been secured from the 11,583 passports sold by the NDC administration in only 2 years. Yes, Mr. Speaker, I said 11,583 passports sold in 2 years, resulting in over $1 billion in revenue. Mr. Speaker, with the Minister for Finance and the Prime Minister being beneficial owners of CBI agencies, Mr. Speaker, the people have a right to ask, where did all these monies go? But permit me to move quickly on, Mr. Speaker, to ask the people through you, have you seen any new CBI projects? Can you see where hundreds of millions of CBI revenues have gone? Mr. Speaker, Grenadians want to see evidence that the hundreds of millions generated through the CBI program are transforming this country. They want to see meaningful investment, real development, and tangible progress, Mr. Speaker. Not headlines, not slogans, not promises. They want to see real action on the ground. Because, Mr. Speaker, you know what? When we look back at the years under the new National Party's administration, CBI revenues translated into real investment, real transformation. Mr. Speaker, I would just name a few. Silver Sands Hotel, Mariposa Condominium, The Point at P.T. Calvini, Silver Sands Beach House, Six Senses Hotel, Intercontinental Resorts. Speaker, these were not PowerPoint dreams or PR speeches. These were real CBI projects that people can see today. But more importantly, created real jobs, stimulating the construction industry, generating tourism activities, and expanding our economic footprint, Mr. Speaker. Not pie in the sky. Mr. Speaker, that is why the people are asking for real jobs, real opportunities, real development, not talk without results. Mr. Speaker, despite these unprecedented inflows of revenue that kept the country afloat in 2023, the fiscal picture for 2025 and what is projected for 2026 is nothing short but alarming. Mr. Speaker, the debt to GDP moved from 63.7% in 2022 to 71.9% in 2025. Mr. Speaker, according to the medium-term fiscal report of the government, which is before this Honorable House, there is an overall deficit of negative $279.1 million, which equates to negative 6.9% of GDP for the year 2025. Mr. Speaker, arguably, this is the largest deficit in the history of Grenada, Carriacou, and Peter Martinique. You see, this government loves to talk about first, but it's interesting that they never claimed this first. Mr. Speaker, so we moved the overall surplus from $30.4 million to a deficit of $279.1 million. Sadly, Mr. Speaker, no change is on the horizon. In fact, 2026 is projected to be worse, with a deficit of $309.8 million, or negative 7.3% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, $30.4 million more than the 2025 deficit. Where are we heading? Mr. Speaker, this means that for 2 consecutive years, this government has run an overall deficit averaging approximately $300 million per year after inheriting reserves of over $500 million in 2022. Let us look at the economic context. Very important, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is not misfortune. Mr. Speaker, this is not bad luck. This is a clear case of mismanagement of the economy. A clear case of mismanagement. While it's concerning that the government plans to borrow some $450 million to address the rising deficit, what is even more alarming is the disconnect, Mr. Speaker, between this expenditure and the actual needs of our people, as well as a seemingly intentional effort to mislead the public with a new classification of expenses. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 budget outlines 3 expenditure categories: recurrent, capital, and a new category called initiatives expenditure, with allocation, Mr. Speaker, of $1.7 billion, $370.4 million, and $206.7 million, respectively. Mr. Speaker, the introduction of a new expenditure category, initiatives, creates the impression that this government is launching a whole new portfolio of new projects and programs totaling $206.7 million. Mr. Speaker, those who know, well know. This suggests, Mr. Speaker, an investment outlay of $577.1 million. This suggests. Mr. Speaker, this is far from the truth and what is presented, Mr. Speaker, in a very skillful way, and represents an unfortunate attempt to mislead the people of this country. According to the government's own classification in Appendix C, initiative expenditure are simply recurrent expenditures disguised, we believe, as new investments. Mr. Speaker, let us be clear. Recurrent expenditure are exactly what they are, and therefore must be classified as recurrent expenditure. They do not have an end date. They are recurrent expenditure. This classification, therefore, Mr. Speaker, reveals a disturbing truth, that recurrent expenditure have ballooned by $192 million. Meanwhile, Mr. Speaker, the government's capital or investment outlay has been slashed by $126 million. While this does not alter the reality of our financial challenges, Mr. Speaker, it does impact the discussion regarding the alignment of expenditures to the needs of our people. The alignment of our expenditures to the needs of our people. Mr. Speaker, in what appears to be a strategy to divert attention and create artificial excitement ahead of yet another deficit budget, and in an attempt to mask the dismal performance of an inept administration, the National Democratic Congress rolled out the Things Happening campaign. Mr. Speaker, they were so eager to convince themselves and the general public that things are happening, that they saw nothing wrong, Mr. Speaker, with using a political party platform to switch on lights for a government-funded project. Desperation, Mr. Speaker, has a way of stripping away good judgment. Mr. Speaker, the people know. Anyone, Mr. Speaker, can craft a catchy statement, a catchy slogan to influence minds. Things happening, things happening, things happening. As if to believe that the more you say it, is the more people would believe it. But the reality, Mr. Speaker, is that our people feel every single day the pressure of the rising cost of living. Our people are affected every day by the policy decisions of this government. Mr. Speaker, all I say is, who feels it, knows it. Mr. Speaker, but you know what? If someone can boldly proclaim publicly that they are set for life, while many people cannot make a trip to the supermarket, then yes, things happening, but only for a select few. Amen. As we examine the 2026 projections, Mr. Speaker, and reflect on the government's performance in 2025, we will clearly see whether things are happening, and more importantly, for whom these things are happening. I will now shift my attention, Mr. Speaker, to the sections of the budget that influence lives and livelihoods of our citizens, some of which the government emphasized in its election campaign and indeed in the last two budgets presented. Let us first look at the troubling picture of what is really happening in the health sector. Mr. Speaker, if there is one sector that truly reveals the gap between government promises and actual results, it will be healthcare. Mr. Speaker, the current state of health or health system is not just disappointing, it is alarming. When government repeatedly announces big plans, big investments, big transformation, yet fails to deliver even on the basics, it is unconscionable, Mr. Speaker, to say things happening. Beat your chest, things happening. Mr. Speaker, Budget 2026 portrays a health system that is underfunded, under-resourced, while the events of 2025 tell a story of underperformance and a ministry that definitely is lacking effective leadership. Mr. Speaker, in the 2025 budget, the Minister for Finance praised the partnership with Mount Sinai and the initiatives, of course, as stated, to enhance healthcare delivery. And the table knocks, Mr. Speaker, were loud. However, Mr. Speaker, we are yet to see the expected outcomes based on the significant sums that have already been spent in these areas. However, let us look at some very critical areas in health where things don't seem to be happening. Things not happening there. Number one, upgrade of health facilities. Mr. Speaker, only 32% of that budget was utilized. Upgrade of health facility. And many of our facilities did not receive the promised upgrade. That is why I was disturbed, Mr. Speaker, in the presentation by the Minister for Finance. When we are talking about deliveries for 2025, he gives us deliveries from 2022 to 2025. You know, like everybody's stupid. Everybody lacks common sense. At this rate, Mr. Speaker, it will take a decade to upgrade our clinics and health centers based on the speed at which this is being done and the promise given. Clearly, Mr. Speaker, something needs to happen there. 2, hospital quality improvement project and training. Mr. Speaker, a staggering 48% of funding remain unspent in this area. This is a critical area of the health sector. And despite the available funds, Mr. Speaker, nothing significant has happened there, Mr. Speaker. 3, school health program. Mr. Speaker, not a single dollar was spent on this essential project, which is aimed at safeguarding our children's health. This is unacceptable. Something needs to happen. 4, National Non-Communicable Disease Control Program. Mr. Speaker, a mere 16% of allocated funds were used. While our senior citizens continue to suffer from preventable diseases due to inconsistent access to medications and monitoring services, it is clear something needs to happen. 5, strengthening the healthcare sector. Mr. Speaker, just 42% of budget was spent on health sector strengthening under this line item. Another vital program designed to meet the needs of our communities. 6, equipment. Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Finance stated that the government has purchased critical life-saving equipment for the hospital system. However, the estimates, Mr. Speaker, prepared by the minister himself, reveal that less than 1% of the equipment budget was utilized. It almost seems as though, Mr. Speaker, that the minister has forgotten what his own estimates reflected. So we're not talking about what you plan to do and what you let us talk about the budget, what the budget says. Mr. Speaker, the notion is clear. The notion is clear. Mr. Speaker, let us see what needs to happen elsewhere. Mr. Speaker, over 15,000 new HIV infections reported in the region in recent years, while concerns about data collection in Grenada is mounting. Serious concerns, lack of data. In response to these pressing issues, the government budgeted a mere 3% for a strategic response program in 2025. While little progress has been made to strengthen critical areas of healthcare, Mr. Speaker, it is clear that in other places things are happening, and things are happening for some people. Mr. Speaker, imagine this. While underspending in almost every area of healthcare, all critical areas, I can safely say, Mr. Speaker, while this is the case, $22 million was spent in 2025 on the so-called teaching hospital, even before the sod turning ceremony and the first brick is laid. $22 million. Mr. Speaker, this proposed hospital, let's get this clear, this proposed hospital will not happen during the lifetime of this administration. And furthermore, it is not a priority for the people of this country based on the current situation. This is just another lofty dream, another pie in the sky, not real healthcare solution that people need right now. I consider this, Mr. Speaker, a solution apparently to make things happen for some people. Mr. Speaker, additionally, millions were spent on special projects and contracts for which we must ask the question, who are the beneficiaries of these millions of dollars in special contracts? We are still lacking key specialists at the General Hospital. Could they have contracted some of these specialists for the millions of dollars already spent on Project Polaris? I'm asking for the people, Mr. Speaker. As we look forward to 2026 and the developments in healthcare, can you imagine, after all that I've said, Mr. Speaker, that funding has been further cut by $22 million, with significant reductions in essential areas as supplies, equipment, and maintenance? Mr. Speaker, the areas where the people need health care most. Can you imagine this? Yet, Mr. Speaker, while $22 million is being removed from health care, an additional $67 million was added to the Office of the Prime Minister for distribution among CBI allies. It's time, Mr. Speaker, that we demand meaningful change that significantly benefits our citizens, not tokenism. Question is, why move it to that vote? These decisions, Mr. Speaker, to enhance funding under the Prime Minister's ministry, particularly with a focus on CBI programs, suggests, Mr. Speaker, that this administration is more invested in catering for the affluent individuals and foreign investors than addressing the real issues that are affecting ordinary citizens. Mr. Speaker, while many families struggle to access basic health care services, critical upgrades to health facilities remain stalled, and vital health programs go underfunded. This substantial investment, Mr. Speaker, in a selected group highlights a disparity that cannot be ignored. It explains why, Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Finance could not report on the mere achievements of 2025, but had to go all the way back the last 3.5 years. Mr. Speaker, before I complete health, I will address the commitment to regularize workers with the stroke of a pen. Mr. Speaker, it is obvious that regularization is no longer carried out by the Public Service Commission as constitutionally mandated. Instead, this government is implementing a form of regularization that relies on contract. Very strange, very strange. Mr. Speaker, it's not just strange, it is deceptive. Mr. Speaker, health workers deserve specific mention in this regard, considering the impending statutorization of that ministry. These workers, Mr. Speaker, have already been denied the 1958 pension, which was promised by this government and sanctioned by the court ruling that the NNP administration accepted without appeal. Instead, what was provided was a national savings plan operating as a pension plan, one that currently offers no guaranteed minimum pension for the rest of a worker's retired life. This new pension arrangement, Mr. Speaker, must be revisited. And I give the commitment, Mr. Speaker, that it will be revisited by a new National Party administration, specifically in the context of the court ruling, the tenure of workers, and the Constitution. Otherwise, as the Minister for Finance said when he was speaking, far likely, these persons on the SUSU pension will indeed end up on the SEED program. Mr. Speaker, while these workers remain under contracted regularization, I have a few questions for the government. What will happen to their security of tenure as they transition into this new arrangement? How is the government planning to address their benefits, Mr. Speaker? More questions than answers. But I must now move to see what's happening in social development. Mr. Speaker, social development is the cornerstone of a compassionate nation. It encompasses the ministry's responsibility for elderly, children, differently abled individuals and youth at risk, and vulnerable families. Mr. Speaker, these are people who depend on the government and the government programs for their very survival in many cases. Mr. Speaker, in the 2025 budget, the minister proclaimed the government's commitment to building a robust social protection system. Nice words. However, Mr. Speaker, it is essential to assess the truthfulness of this claim. Mr. Speaker, when we examine the capital program under social development in 2025, what we find is not a story of compassion and progress, but a troubling narrative of systemic failures, unfulfilled promises, and disappointing results. The numbers reveal a stark reality. Let's review a few alarming examples. 1, support for disabled persons. This was identified as a key initiative in 2025. Mr. Speaker, only 38% of the budget allocated for the disabled community was utilized, leaving many individuals without the mobility aid that they need, therapy services, accessible facilities, and essential support that they desperately need. That was referred to, Mr. Speaker, as a key initiative in 2025. 2, Early Child Development Program. Mr. Speaker, this vital initiative, which provides structured daycare and educational services for children, received an astounding investment of less than 1% in 2025. Troubling. 3, the awakening special potential in restoration and empowerment. So Speaker, so many names. You're getting tied up with the names. The Awakening Special Potential in Restoration and Empowerment Program, let me get it right. Designed to uplift vulnerable individuals. This program saw a mere 6% of its allocation budgeted invested. Mr. Speaker, what is truly happening? What is happening? 4, support for victims of domestic violence and child care program, another critical area of 2025. Mr. Speaker, only 20% of the funds earmarked for this critical service were used, indicating a clear lack of investment in the safety and well-being of our families. Mr. Speaker, but what is troubling for me, what is concerning, is that while the government has not adequately supported these vulnerable communities in 2025, it seeks to pursue legislation that would allow minors to make adult decisions about their sexuality without parental involvement. Where is the priority? Rather than reinforcing the protection of our children who need that protection urgently. The same children, Mr. Speaker, they said are in crisis and need this legislation. Look at the spending on these same children. Mr. Speaker, we strongly urge, as we've done before, this administration to not bring this bill back to this Parliament. Mr. Speaker, as we look towards 2026, the outlook does not seem to improve since the budget for social services has been slashed by a troubling $16 million. Now let's look at the contrast, Mr. Speaker. Let us look at the contrast. While assistance for vulnerable communities wanes, we see millions, Mr. Speaker, squandered on first-class travel and extravagant accommodation for our Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's travel budget astonishingly exceeded its allocation by 45% in 2025. While the people of Grenada are left to cover the costs, Mr. Speaker, for his constant traveling companions, like his personal photographer, his chief of staff, his executive secretary. Mr. Speaker, this excessive spending highlights a blatant disregard for the pressing needs of the citizens of this country. Mr. Speaker, this disparity does not just demonstrate selfishness. It illustrates, Mr. Speaker, that things are indeed happening. Not for the majority, Mr. Speaker, but for the privileged few at the expense of the masses. Just look at where the monies are going in this budget, and you understand where the priorities of this government lies. Mr. Speaker, I now shift my attention to what is happening in housing. Mr. Speaker, things happening, but is what? What is happening? Mr. Speaker, during our electoral campaign, this government pledged to deliver 500 Grenadian-style houses every year. I mean, they could have just said 500 houses, but, they love nice words. 500 Grenadian style. I don't even know what's our style. Regrettably, Mr. Speaker, regrettably, this commitment has morphed into Project 500, which predominantly features a prefabricated housing solution that is definitely not our style. So I'm not sure what our style is, but I know it is definitely not prefab houses. That's not our style. Mr. Speaker, to date, A staggering $17 million has already been spent on Project 500. Mr. Speaker, despite this enormous investment, only a few units, and I'm saying a few because I'm sure it's not more than 5, has been completed. Mr. Speaker, if we have our math right, we should be on 1,500 houses based on the promise of this administration. Mr. Speaker, 17 million spent with about 17 sample units under construction is not progress. Mr. Speaker, this is a serious red flag. That's not progress. What this reveals, Mr. Speaker, is not a housing revolution, but a project that shows very little in what it has achieved. Mr. Speaker, very little to show, large amounts spent. And quite frankly, Mr. Speaker, it raises serious questions about where the money is going and who is seriously benefiting. Because what we are seeing, Mr. Speaker, is a pattern. Indeed, some things are happening, but for some people, opportunities and contracts consistently flow to a small, well-connected circle that is close to the seat of power, while ordinary families continue to struggle without proper housing. Things happening. This is not strategic development. This is not value for money, Mr. Speaker, and it's definitely not transformation, as the people know it. This, Mr. Speaker, is a cause for serious concern. The previous administration made significant strides by leaving behind 600 housing units, yet many of these remain unoccupied 3.5 years later. Mr. Speaker, the housing crisis faced by our citizens intensified following Hurricane Beryl. And now we see a troubling reduction of $12 million proposed for housing in the 2026 budget. So, Speaker, this has been a depressing exercise, to say the least. Mr. Speaker, I must here draw special attention to the residents of Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Mr. Speaker, they have suffered immense property damage as a result of the passage of Hurricane Beryl. According, Mr. Speaker, to the budget report spanning 2024 to present, expenditures have reached an astonishing $215 million, yet we are still awaiting the realization of the 200 houses for St. Patrick and the significantly higher numbers for Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Mr. Speaker, it is disheartening to witness families in Carriacou and Petite Martinique leaving without adequate housing, as fewer than 50 build-back better houses have been handed over to date. Mr. Speaker, the promise to deliver over 100 build-back better houses by December 2024. Imagine, Mr. Speaker, we have not even crossed half of what was supposed to be completed by 2024. So now we should have been, Mr. Speaker, over 200, 300. We are still under 50, but things happening. Moreover, Mr. Speaker, local hardware suppliers continue to face unpaid debts, and there is rising trouble, Mr. Speaker, as many of them try to stay afloat. Mr. Speaker, troubling questions about the fiscal management of the Build Back Better program. Not just by the opposition, Mr. Speaker. This House knows that serious questions have been raised. Mr. Speaker, the Minister for Finance and Housing have lamented the incompetence and corruption associated with this initiative and things happening in the communities, citing instances of incomplete homes where contractors have walked out with full payment, allocation made to individuals without previous housing, Mr. Speaker, contracts given to persons with absolutely no skill in construction, and the retraction of materials from those who dare to voice their concerns about the corrupt activities. Mr. Speaker, while corruption persists within the government housing programs, budget reduction means that the less fortunate among us should not expect far more than what was done in 2025. Mr. Speaker, as with low-income housing, citizens would need to interact with financial institutions to navigate their challenges, Mr. Speaker. What a sad story of housing. Sad story of what's happening. We now turn our attention to education. Mr. Speaker, education is still the bedrock of national development. It is the single greatest tool for breaking cycles of poverty, building human capital, and preparing a nation to compete in a rapidly evolving global economy. Yet, Mr. Speaker, in 2026, estimate presents a troubling picture, not of progress, but of mismanagement, underperformance, and introduction of policies that sounds good in speeches, but fail our families on the ground. Mr. Speaker, let us confront the realities on the ground so we better understand the context of this statement. Parents are struggling more and more every day to keep their children in school as transportation costs, uniform, equipment, material, and supplies costs continues to rise. Students at Tamsisi, students at Nulo, Mr. Speaker, some drop out, not because of lack of talent and ambition, at a time when education is free, Mr. Speaker, but they cannot afford the hidden cost of education. Mr. Speaker, at-risk youth are becoming more disconnected from the education system, as seen in the increasing gambling among minors, school violence, absenteeism, and declining participation in technical programs. Mr. Speaker, teachers are overwhelmed and over-resourced, Mr. Speaker. Many classrooms lack the basic teaching materials, and the complaints go on and on and on when it is better. Mr. Speaker, stakeholders are complaining about the school maintenance program, the lack of accountability, millions spent, the lack of accountability. Stakeholders are complaining, Mr. Speaker, about the school feeding program, but we're knocking the table in here. The school feeding program and the subsidy program. Checks are paid in some cases 4 months late, and schools have to find the resources to continue to feed children. Some cases they do their best, bread. Mr. Speaker, even teachers, as related by teachers themselves and principals, consistently paid late, while special anointed contractors are paid in advance. You just have to be close to the seat of power, and you can get your payments in advance. Amen. Mr. Speaker, while the government speaks about free tuition and expanding opportunities for students, the lived experience of students, parents, and teachers, even principals, tell a different story. And when, Mr. Speaker, we turn to the 2025 estimates, the truth becomes even clearer. As you look at 2026, education is not being managed effectively. Programs continue to underperform, as the government continued to push new policies without the necessary consultation with stakeholders, without putting the proper systems and structures in place, they continue to tick the boxes. Let us take a closer look, Mr. Speaker, at what is happening in education and some of what was referred to in 2025 as the major transformational projects of education. 1, National Innovative Skills Enhancement Program, NICE.
Nice words.
Mr. Speaker, despite its attractive title, NICE is really a repackaged project. Mr. Speaker, this project received $3 million in the 2025 budget, but only 28% was actually spent. 28%. How can we boast? How can we knock the tables, Mr. Speaker, about this as an achievement? How can we say things are happening when we refer to this project? How can we truly prepare young people for a modern workforce when the very program designed to skill and reskill them is largely untouched? This is yet a case, another case, of nice words, Mr. Speaker, very little action. 2, the Grenada Education Enhancement Program, GEEP. Mr. Speaker, this program also reflects poor execution. Yes, we hear periodically those announcements of things happening with school construction. St. Andrew's Anglican Primary School, St. David's Catholic Secondary School, Grenada Christian Academy, etc., etc., etc. But, Mr. Speaker, let us be honest, at least with ourselves. Every one of these projects were inherited by the NDC administration. They started under NNP. And I know, Mr. Speaker, that someone would be brave enough to come here to tell me, Mr. Speaker, that that is not true, because construction of the St. David's Catholic Secondary School did not start under NNP. Mr. Speaker, I can tell you I walked the land because it was a struggle to find lands for this project. We secured the lands for this project. We engaged CDB. CDB was supposed to be here in Grenada before the last election to launch that phase of this program, Mr. Speaker. So I'm saying with all confidence, they are all inherited projects of the end. Mr. Speaker, is this underperformance or is it mismanagement? Remember, Mr. Speaker, this administration said things were happening too slow. So they came with a brilliant idea. They came to set a new implementation record. What we are experiencing, Mr. Speaker, right now is not just slow implementation, but significant cost overrun, costing the taxpayers of this country. Number 3, we're still under projects, significant projects under education. TVET Enhancement and Expansion Program. Mr. Speaker, in 2025, in the budget speech, the Minister for Finance assured the nation that the government would transform technical and vocational education in 2025 by strengthening TVET programs and establishing TVET centers throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Martinique. Well, let me take this back. I don't recall if he said Carriacou and Petit-Martinique, in Grenada. But the result, Mr. Speaker, tells a different story. Mr. Speaker, only 20% of the TVET budget was spent. No new skills centers were constructed, not even started. And the ones that were to be upgraded remained stagnant. They were projects under the new National Party administration. Students continue to lack tools and materials. Instructors operate with insufficient resources. Where is the implementation? Where is the transformation? Mr. Speaker, and I ask also, where is the Ministry of MIT in all of this? Mr. Speaker, in both the 2024 and the 2025 budget, the government boldly declared nothing happened in the area of skills training before they took office. They used this narrative, Mr. Speaker, to justify promises of sweeping transformation and allocation of significant funds in the last two budgets to fix what they called a broken system. But today, Mr. Speaker, I can confidently, without a shadow of a doubt, say that nothing significant has happened in skills training since this administration took office compared to what has happened under the NNP administration. Mr. Speaker, despite all the loud declarations, despite the big speeches, despite all the allocations in the past two estimates, the results are missing. The outcomes are invisible, and the promises remain exactly what they are, promises. Mr. Speaker, you cannot proudly pound the table year after year about what you intend to do, when almost after 3 years, you have not scratched the surface in any significant way. No real transformation as you have promised. We didn't ask you to do anything. You promised what you're going to do. Mr. Speaker, before 2022, and I want to share what is described as nothing, and I wish we'll have more of that happening right now. Before 2022, in partnership with UNESCO and the NTA of Grenada, I commend Brother Morgan for the work that he has done over the years. Mr. Speaker, Grenada completed a national TVET policy review. The NTA supervised award of 7,000 CVQ, Caribbean Vocational Qualification, and NVQ certificates. The top skills areas awarded locally and regionally, Mr. Speaker, according to this report: construction trade, hospitality and tourism, and electrical installation. Mr. Speaker, additionally, the ministry piloted TVET centers of excellence and offered training in and out of school youth. I actually looked up and saw one of the persons who completed this course, Mr. Speaker, at centers like SAS and Westerhall Secondary School. The ministry piloted CVQ certification through CXC, Mr. Speaker, in 5 secondary schools. The Center of Excellence in Montreach was established, which supplies furniture, Mr. Speaker, not just to schools, but to private companies and even government ministries. And the ministry ran a primary school skills development initiative with centers in each district. Mr. Speaker, transformation can be positive or negative. But what we expect of this government, Mr. Speaker, will be to take what they met and to improve on it. Mr. Speaker, we will commend you for that. Forget about the nice words, Mr. Speaker. I really do want to dwell, Mr. Speaker, for a moment on another transformational project, the National School Bus Pilot Program. Table knocks, Mr. Speaker, were many when this project was presented on Monday. Mr. Speaker, we have no problem, let me say this on the onset, we have no problem with a school transportation program. Let me say this first. But unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, I have to say, too much was wasted on this pilot project. Hospital needing support, families needing support, and we are wasting so much resources. Mr. Speaker, the idea was brilliant, but instead of proper consultation, which appears to be one of the biggest weaknesses of this administration. No proper consultation, poor planning, and the government rushing just to tick off box. We started this, we started this, we started this. Mr. Speaker, so imagine children who are unable to go to school because their parents cannot pay for the school bus. Mr. Speaker, these children are home while a bus is hired by the program. Only 2 children, 2 students on the bus because of the contract arrangement, Mr. Speaker, while the bus driver received a flat amount of $6,500 per month. Mr. Speaker, imagine knocking the table for this. Mr. Speaker, things happening.
Yes, a lot.
Mr. Speaker, imagine this. I've never seen this. I've never seen this. Bus operators saying to you that they feel bad every month when they collect this check, $6,500, and some days up and down. 2 children, based on the contract, they cannot pick up anyone else. Mr. Speaker, what a waste. What a waste. But you know what? I don't know if it's conscience, but check it out. Mr. Speaker, before the pilot ended, most of the busmen dropped out from the program. I don't know if it was the late payment that they complained about, or I don't know if it's their conscience, they just could not do this. Mr. Speaker, this is depressing, to say the least. Mr. Speaker, education is not just a line item or political talking point. As you say, I agree, it is the future of this country. Mr. Speaker, based on the government's own numbers, the sector has underperformed badly. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 estimates offers no strategic vision, no credible pathway, or improving of outcomes in education, nor the previous areas that I referred to. That is why I'm so disappointed, Mr. Speaker, in this budget. Mr. Speaker, I now turn my attention to what is happening in youth. Let's see what's really happening there. Mr. Speaker, during the campaign, the Prime Minister promised the regularization of all Imani trainees within 6 months of taking office. As a matter of fact, I listened to a clip myself, and the trainees were told, if you're victimized, you don't have to go to anybody else, come to me. Report to me any victimization. You should not have to go through anything of the sort.
Big man.
I hope, Mr. Speaker, that many of these trainees can find the Prime Minister today. No nation, Mr. Speaker, should have to experience something like that. So, Mr. Speaker, after this brilliant promise, wonderful promise, the nation waited, Mr. Speaker, with bated breath for this commitment to unfold, hoping for a turnaround. Yet, Mr. Speaker, when the 2023 budget arrived, we were met with vague notions of reimagining the program. Mr. Speaker, this was never promised. From promising that every Imani will be made permanent to reimagining the Imani program, well, Mr. Speaker, to this day, that vision seems to be trapped somewhere in the frontal lobe, failing to materialize to date. We are inundated with talk, nice words, rebranding of projects, sounding nice. Not a single new project has emerged on the horizon. While the inherited ones, Mr. Speaker, are still underperforming after 3.5 years. By 2025, we were forced to witness the unfortunate demise or the near death of critical projects like Youth Biz, Project Fly, the Sewing Cooperatives, Project Reach, the Skills for Youth Employment Program. Mr. Speaker, the Imani program has been butchered beyond recognition, while our youth who dressed up in their yellow, expecting permanent, Mr. Speaker, many of them still sit at home regretting the choice that they made. Mr. Speaker, it appears as if this government has been left bankrupt of any serious ideas. Mr. Speaker, the significant issues and problems within these programs under the Ministry of Youth requires, and I'm saying this genuinely, requires a serious reset. Not just a change of name. And this is not in my script. I'm even offering to help with the reset because it is for the young people of this country. In a desperate attempt to appear proactive, we were introduced to Elevate Her, a female-focused iteration of the Imani program. However, even this initiative struggled to secure an investment of even 50% of the amount budgeted for its rollout, underscoring the ineffective rollout. And we don't have to share the actual rollout and its ineffectiveness. We can just look at the numbers, Mr. Speaker, and tell what happened in that program. The evidence of its failure is glaring. It doesn't even feature, Mr. Speaker, in the budget we are debating today. And I noticed, Mr. Speaker, very little was said compared to what was said before. It's no surprise that gambling has become an epidemic among our youth. Even the lack of effective program rollout to engage and support them, Mr. Speaker, you ask them, Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, engaging, how do we engage them, is seriously lacking. Mr. Speaker, in 2026, this bleak picture persists, with the youth budget set to have a cut by a staggering $15 million. Projects like Elevate Her and Empower have disappeared, with a nice explanation of whatever remnants of the Imani program remaining are also facing reduction. Given that youth unemployment rate now stands at a troubling 26.3%, as noted by the Central Statistical Office, not the selective figures offered by the minister, how can we justify these drastic cuts to a budget that is supposed to support our youth? Our young people are desperately crying out for help. And instead of investing in their future, we are pulling rug from underneath their feet. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the spending in this budget for youth, it answers the question, where are the priorities? And don't come to tell me, Mr. Speaker, that we did this and we did that. Because I'm going to ask you, how does that compare to the millions and millions of dollars that have been wasted in this budget? What have we really done? What has really happened for young people comparing what has happened for others, and in many cases, individuals in this budget? No fancy explanation will stand. This administration said that they came to make things better, Mr. Speaker. That is the key word, to make things better. What's happening in tourism? Mr. Speaker, permit me now to address what is happening in the tourism sector, a critical pillar of our economy. Mr. Speaker, despite the positive rhetorics about development in this sector, the government has overlooked some concerning statistics. According to the Midterm Economic and Fiscal Strategy Report, stay-over arrivals have decreased by 10.5%, and both yacht passengers numbers and yacht calls have dropped by 50%, and 54% respectively. Despite these issues, Mr. Speaker, there's a 50% cut on the investment budget aimed at enhancing our tourism product. Mr. Speaker, we need to enhance our efforts in this sector and the support ecosystem, the ecosystem that is so absolutely necessary. Access to small business funding for vendors and service providers, such as taxi and tour operators, should be a focus for the Grenada Development Bank. This is far more beneficial, Mr. Speaker, than allocating near $3 million to one single minister, which limits the opportunity for small businesses, especially in these tough times. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, the overhead cost for hotels, particularly electricity, requires special attention if we want our destination to remain price competitive. As it stands, there's a lack of progress in key areas of this sector, and this government has not been able to attract a single new tourism investment project beyond their very own Heroes Park that is still without heroes to date. Mr. Speaker, let us look now at what is happening in agriculture. Mr. Speaker, in a period marked by global disruptions, impacting our food supply and climate challenges such as Hurricane Beryl, which reveals obviously our vulnerabilities, we observe some very concerning trends. Mr. Speaker, according to the government's mid-year report from January to June 2025, Mr. Speaker, overall crop production declined compared to the same period in 2024. Nutmeg and maize faced the most significant drop, 51.3% and 33.3% respectively, due to the loss of mature trees, stock, and prolonged wet conditions hindering rehabilitation. Cocoa output, Mr. Speaker, also decreased by 9.3%. As you travel through communities, you will see farmers are struggling to replant as Hurricane Beryl has devastated fields, toppled nutmeg and cocoa trees, and destroyed livestock and equipment. Many have yet to receive the promised post-storm assistance, and some recipients are not farmers. Some recipients are political. This is sad, Mr. Speaker. Farmers are actually pointing. Farmers are pointing out, naming, identifying the political favors in the distribution of these benefits. Mr. Speaker, we need to get serious about getting our agriculture going in a serious way, not just distribution of some animals. Let's strategically, Mr. Speaker, what is key, what is important? Farm roads, critical, Mr. Speaker. Many of them are in poor conditions, and some farmers are forced to abandon their farms. Now, this is not me waking up one morning and having some kind of, Mr. Speaker, these are the expressions of farmers themselves. In cases where farmers miraculously access their farms, extension officers provide services via telephone as they cannot afford to damage their vehicles or risk their lives. Fishermen, Mr. Speaker, are requesting support amid sargassum invasion as they wait for the promised nets. They struggle with rising fuel costs and the malfunctioning of equipment, but aid, Mr. Speaker, remain limited. Vendors, Mr. Speaker, report that local produce is scarce and expensive too, due to the sharp decline in domestic production. Despite these challenges, Mr. Speaker, we witnessed a $3.6 million cut in the capital investment for this sector. And although the government claims to have increased allocations for initiatives, the actual investment reflected in the capital budget has been reduced, notably affecting the agri-processing product initiative, food security initiative. Mr. Speaker, that's where it matters. Agriculture Development Assistance Program, that's where it matters most. Mr. Speaker, while farmers battle daily the challenges with pest management and control, the 2026 budget for this area was reduced. Mr. Speaker, where is it increasing? Where is it being reduced? Mr. Speaker, how can we justify increased tax-free salaries for government ministers while reducing incentives for farmers? How can we justify this? How do we justify, Mr. Speaker, allocating $11 million to Oil and Gas Committee? Not a drop of oil, $11 million allocated to a committee while insufficiently supporting farmers of this nation. How do we justify new vehicles for parliamentarians when we are not even giving extension officers the appropriate vehicles in this budget to support our farmers? How do we feel comfortable doing this, Mr. Speaker? This is unjustifiable. But let me move to look at what happened, or what is happening, in cost of living. Mr. Speaker, I waited with grace. I waited with patience for the Minister of Finance to get to the part of the budget, the part of his speech, that will address the most critical issue on the hearts of Grenadians at this time, the rising cost of living. Mr. Speaker, I was appalled at the government's failure to introduce not one new serious measure to tackle the consistent increase in the cost of living. Mr. Speaker, one of the most insensitive and negatively impacting measures taken by this government since 2022 has been the reintroduction of all taxes and charges, including the reversal of the 25% reduction on non-fuel charge on electricity bill. It was difficult to understand how a government that claims to care about people could take an action like this and justify it by saying that the shareholders of Grenlec need to make profit. Mr. Speaker, we forget that the biggest shareholders of Grenlec, the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Martinique. So, Speaker, electricity is not a luxury. It is essential for daily living and a vital input for all business operations. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, the government must know, as I said, that the majority shareholders of Grenlec are the people of Grenada. In this budget, Mr. Speaker, we notice that the government has announced a 50% reduction in VAT on electricity as a so-called measure to ease the cost of living. That's why I said there's nothing serious in this budget to cushion the effects of cost of living. But, Mr. Speaker, it was conveniently overlooked to inform the public about the introduction of a new charge on electricity called the Renewable Energy Charge. Mr. Speaker, this lack of transparency is misleading our citizens who are trying to navigate the complexities of their financial responsibilities. This conduct, Mr. Speaker, reminds me of a case where a businessman increased the cost of items from $100 to $150 and then announced a grand sale offering those items for $125. Mr. Speaker, even people without book sense recognize this trickery in the announcement that was made on Monday. Mr. Speaker, when we were in government, we made the conscious decision to remove all taxes and charges to support our people, rather than merely reducing one tax while simultaneously imposing another tax, another charge on the people. This approach does not genuinely assist the population. It merely shifts the burden from one area, Mr. Speaker, without delivering real relief. When considered holistically, this move by the government has directly increased costs for households and businesses across Grenada. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, the introduction of new charges on water, namely a monthly environmental levy and a service fee ranging from $340 to $8,000 for new and disconnected consumers, adds a further burden on the people. Water is another commodity necessary for both production, Mr. Speaker, and everyday living. These charges make it difficult for families to manage these expenses and hinder business operation. Mr. Speaker, this move to increase property taxes following the reevaluation exercise is also deeply concerning. If we go back to the context in which the budget is presented, and it's the very reason that I took time to explain the context, Mr. Speaker, in which this budget is presented. It's not normal times. By maintaining the tax rate while adjusting property values, Mr. Speaker, the government is effectively adding to the cost of living for Grenadians. Mr. Speaker, we are not dumb out here. We are not dumb out here. This increase places an additional financial burden on property owners. It exacerbates the already challenging economic condition faced by our citizens. But things happening, real things are happening, Mr. Speaker. People will not be able to afford these increases in this new year. While some may argue that a tax on sugar, Mr. Speaker, is justified to encourage healthier consumption, it is worth noting that this tax targets one of the most basic staples found in households. Instead of taxing less essential processed foods, and we expected that that would have been done this year, correct this problem, Mr. Speaker, the government has chosen to impose, Mr. Speaker, the tax and continue to impose this tax on sugar, affecting many families who rely on it for their daily needs, inclusive of our small vendors. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, the government has increased the license fees context at a time when our road infrastructure is deteriorating. This decision is not just frustrating, it is perplexing, Mr. Speaker. We cannot expect citizens to shoulder higher costs for vehicle operations when unsafe roads and potholes threaten their safety and increase vehicle maintenance costs. This disconnect, Mr. Speaker, this disconnect between policy making and the realities faced by everyday Grenadians is absolutely unacceptable. The cultural industry, Mr. Speaker, is also feeling the strain from rising cost of government fees. Some people say every day is a new fee, making it increasingly difficult for small businesses to thrive. Overall, the combination of these policies creates an environment where the very foundation of our economy and the communities that we live in is at risk. Mr. Speaker, it is disappointing to see this government resorting to outdated policies like the Free Barrel Initiative, from over 17 years ago, as if this is a new, fresh idea. Banging the table. No, this should just be a given. Where are the real new measures to reduce the cost of living? You can't be bringing back something of 17 years ago and shouting about it like it is something that is going to have some serious effect on the cost of living. You cannot be serious, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this approach mainly benefits those who can afford to shop online to send themselves a barrel, or those who have people overseas who can afford in these challenging times to send them a barrel, and we are happy for these people. Mr. Speaker, what about the others? Moreover, the VAT-free list, Mr. Speaker, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. One sentence. Moreover, the VAT-free list presented in this budget is the same recycled list of 2 consecutive budgets ago. Mr. Speaker, where is the innovative thinking within this government? When will we really see something happen for the people who are struggling with the rising cost of living? When? Mr. Speaker, I now turn attention back to Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Mr. Speaker, Carriacou and Petite Martinique starkly reveals this government's failure. No amount of speeches, no amount of PR can obscure the troubling realities, Mr. Speaker, our citizens are facing. They are suffering, they are waiting, and they feel abandoned. Mr. Speaker, Hurricane Beryl devastated 90% of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, erasing homes, livelihoods, agriculture. Mr. Speaker, the World Bank post-Beryl assessment estimated, carefully listen, Mr. Speaker, not 20 houses, not 50 houses, not 100 houses. The estimate, Mr. Speaker, is 3,018 houses were lost. Yet, Mr. Speaker, more than a year later, the use of the CRIF Project Fund and other donor funds remained questionable. Mr. Speaker, less than 50 houses were rebuilt under the Build Back Better Houses or program, while families still live under tarpaulins and tents. Mr. Speaker, the government has reinstated, in the midst of all of this, the payment of property tax on the back of the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique. I mean, what a shame. Where is your conscience? Where is your heart? At a time when many people's properties remain damaged. Mr. Speaker, elderly residents are unprotected from the harsh weather. Fisher folks are without the necessary relief for lost equipment. Farmers are unable to restart production in many cases, and hardware stores are struggling to survive with high outstanding payments owed by the government. Mr. Speaker, with a staggering $215 million allocated so far to relief efforts, the intended impact, as said before, is quite invisible. We must therefore ask ourselves, how can such a large sum, almost 5 times the initial budget, yield so little tangible progress? Where has the funding gone for Carriacou and Petite Martinique? And who is accountable, Mr. Speaker? There are no timelines. Until now, we cannot say what is the government's goal as it relates to construction of houses in Carriacou and Petite Martinique. We can't say clearly what that is. Numbers are being floated here, there, and everywhere, and we continue to fall miserably short of those numbers. Carriacou deserves more than empty assurances and promises. Mr. Speaker, Carriacou needs a genuine strategic plan for resilience and sustainable development. They need their homes to be rebuilt, Mr. Speaker. They need authentic, impactful support for farmers, proper equipment for fisher folks, roads that are essential for connectivity and recovery, and the rebuilding of the Windward Jetty. Mr. Speaker, what has been done before falls way short of the standard that is expected by the people in light of the fact that this administration received $118 million from CRIF payout alone, does not include the millions received from donors. Mr. Speaker, as this government allocates another $20 million for burial recovery in 2026, glaring absence of transparency, accountability, and the tangible results from the $215 million already spent should concern every single Grenadian. But, Mr. Speaker, the concerns are not abstract. They are deeply personal from the people who continue to suffer. As I prepared this presentation, Mr. Speaker, residents from Petite Martinique reached out to me, pleading for their voices to be heard in this honorable House. Mr. Speaker, they cannot understand, after all the promises and all the millions of dollars spent, only 5 Build Back Better houses were handed over in Petite Martinique. They speak, Mr. Speaker, and these are their actual words, the severe challenges in transporting construction material to Petite Martinique, the lack of proper logistical planning, the minimal support to affected businesses, and the frustration that they feel when they watch millions of dollars flow through the system, but very little reaching them in Petite Martinique. Mr. Speaker, these are not isolated complaints. These are the lived realities of our people. The citizens of Carriacou and Petite Martinique deserve more than vague assurances. They deserve clear answers, accountability, transparency, good governance. They still want to have that. The results are not repeated headlines and political showmanship. They want results. They want their lives to be improved. Meanwhile, Mr. Speaker, let us look at what is happening quickly in MIT and infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Implementation and Transformation was established with great fanfare and even greater promises. It was promoted as the ministry that would get things done, the engine room of national development, the strategic powerhouse designed to unclog every pipeline, to accelerate project delivery, and finally bring long-delayed projects to life. Brilliant. Very, very brilliant. Mr. Speaker, despite the branding and the bold speeches, the reality is different. MIT has not succeeded in moving major government projects out of the pipeline. And while MIT was set up as a support mechanism, so I'm giving a little ease there. In leadership, Mr. Speaker, accountability must ultimately lie with the line ministries. In this case, the Ministry of Infrastructure and Works. Mr. Speaker, given the travel record of the line minister, many describe as the visiting prime minister, I don't know. It comes as no surprise, Mr. Speaker, that so many major projects remain stalled, delayed in many cases, or poorly executed. Mr. Speaker, presence is critical in leadership for success and results. Leadership 101 must say so. Across the portfolio, Mr. Speaker, we see project delays, massive cost overrun, poor supervision, faulty design, weak procurement oversight, groundbreaking with no completion dates, endless photo opportunities with no progress. Mr. Speaker, this is not transformation. This is probably stagnation dressed up with frills. Mr. Speaker, after more than 3 years, the facts are undeniable. This Ministry of Infrastructure is not functioning. Even with a ready-made project portfolio inherited from the previous administration, we were hoodwinked into believing that MIT could somehow fix the incompetence and the lack of leadership in that ministry. I don't know if to say he tried. Well, MIT has their own self-made problems. Let's move on, Mr. Speaker. MIT promised speed, but every project, every major project, Mr. Speaker, seems to have some problem. Either slowed, stalled, struggling to start. Mr. Speaker, Molyneux land slippage, St. John's River mitigation, Carlton House, Western Road, Seaman Cultural Center, St. Andrew Anglican Secondary School, Grenada Christian Academy, Youth Center upgrade, new fire station, MBIA expansion, and I understand we lost some millions there. Mr. Speaker, this list goes on and on. Is there something that we missed along the way? If things were happening, Mr. Speaker, certainly not with all of these projects, some of which started more than 3 years ago. Some of these projects started more than 3 years ago. So by now, I believe it might be irrelevant to be talking about NNP in office for 23 years. Mr. Speaker, prove yourself. And the term is almost over. Prove yourself. We even lost funding, Mr. Speaker, in one of these cases. Despite high cost overrun, we do not see the transformation. But, Mr. Speaker, one project popped out to me under MIT, Unleashing the Blue Economy Project. Mr. Speaker, budgeted in 2025, $1.5 million. Yet somehow, $13 million was spent under this project, an overrun of more than 800%. But, Mr. Speaker, I am looking for the transformation that $13 million is supposed to deliver. So I ask, Mr. Speaker, where is the coastal infrastructure? Where are the new fish landing facilities? Where are the blue economy jobs? Where are the boats and the engines for the fishermen who are complaining? Where is the marine innovation expected? Mr. Speaker, with $13 million, don't open your eyes, $13 million, we expect to see something for this. I mean, what is there to show for $13 million? Millions spent, Mr. Speaker, no visible transformation. Contractors complain non-payment, donors even expressing frustration, slow execution, but the monies are rolling. Costs keep rising, Mr. Speaker, and oversight remains weak. The stories, Mr. Speaker, would make you cry. MIT's performance has not improved the capital program. In fact, I believe it is even weaker than it was in 2022. What they call, Mr. Speaker, transformation is merely rebranding, renaming of old projects, repackaging inherited initiatives, and marketing basic repairs as innovation. Announcing projects with no implementation timeline continues to be unacceptable. In addition to the failing infrastructure and roads, which are now at the worst in 40 years, the capital budget of infrastructure has been cut by 226.1 million. Not a single new capital project has started under this administration, but we see the capital budget continues to go down. Is the promised transformation merely box drains and painting the roadways in black and white? Where are the bright new ideas? Where are the major new projects that this government has started? Major new projects. The people of Grenada has grown accustomed to transformational projects like the cruise ship terminus, cricket and athletic stadium, bus terminus, fish markets, housing developments, cultural centers, coastal defense infrastructure, airport enhancement. Mr. Speaker, that's an idea of what transformation really means. They know what transformation looks like, and they certainly know when things are happening. We don't need to convince the people when things are happening. They deserve, Mr. Speaker, real initiatives, not empty promises, like picking mangoes with Grenlec truck up the hills. Mr. Speaker, farmers need real practical solutions, Mr. Speaker. National security. Mr. Speaker, no country can speak of resilience, transformation, and sustainable development if its people do not feel safe. National security is not an abstract policy concept. It is the ability of every Grenadian to sleep peacefully, to walk freely, and to live without fear of violence or lawlessness. Yet today, Mr. Speaker, the growing sense of insecurity across our nation is undeniable. While the RGPF face significant challenges, I have not seen anything in this budget that tells me we are going to hit at the root of the problems. Mr. Speaker, young recruits forced prematurely into daily leadership roles with minimum training, no experience, and limited mentorship. Officers are unable to respond to reports because of limited vehicles. St. Andrew Southeast Zone could go to the Grenville Police Station. Deep frustration within the RGPF over politicization, victimization, and collapse in morale. A steady exodus, Mr. Speaker, of experienced, well-trained officers from the organization, resulting in manpower shortages. This is not normal attrition, Mr. Speaker. This is a brain drain, and it possesses a direct threat. In case you're wondering where I'm going with this, it poses a threat to law and order. It poses a threat to sustainable national development. When experience walks out the door, it cannot be replaced in a 5-week basic training. It cannot. A batch of young officers are on the street without ever being trained to use a firearm, Mr. Speaker, because the course was too short. Mr. Speaker, we're busy to fill vacancies. Mr. Speaker, a budget that claims national security. National security is priority. Mr. Speaker, the budget still fails to prove this. With investment in officers, not policies that push them out, with strengthened investment capacity and investigation capacity, with proper training for new officers, not deploying them half-ready, with serious support for border control and coastal surveillance, Mr. Speaker. That is where the focus should be. I'm still looking through the budget to see any serious new initiatives in this regard. Mr. Speaker, the government has publicly admitted that weapons are entering Grenada through our ports. Mr. Speaker, they promised in the last budget tighter port security. Yet, despite approving a significant budget for port security, almost 1 million remain unspent. Check the ministries, check the initiatives where we have overspending by millions and millions. An important initiative to tighten border control. Over $1 million remain unspent, while firearms flood our communities. What is the point, Mr. Speaker, of announcing gun amnesty programs if the government refuses to close the very doors through which these guns enter? Grenadians have already been accustomed to peaceful living. We are peaceful people, and we want to live it and keep it that way. But that peace, Mr. Speaker, is now under threat, not only from criminal elements, but from weak leadership, lack of strategy, and politicization of the police force. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 budget was an opportunity to reset that approach, rebuild confidence, and strengthen national security with vision and competence. Mr. Speaker, national security cannot be managed with political instinct and public relations. It requires leadership, it requires expertise, it requires planning, and indeed, investment. The 2026 budget, Mr. Speaker, offers none of the above, unfortunately. Mr. Speaker, I say today, the people of Grenada, Carriacou and Petit-Martinique deserve better. They deserve better. Our officers deserve respect, resources, and proper leadership. As a matter of fact, this administration said that they came to do just that. Mr. Speaker, as I begin to conclude my presentation and my response to the 2026 estimates of revenue and expenditure, allow me to remind you, Mr. Speaker, that this government came offering promises of transformation. Mr. Speaker, this government came saying that the new National Party administration could not do it, so they came to do it better. They promised acceleration of transformation agenda, termed directly from the 2025 budget. We promising acceleration of the transformation agenda, with no significant difference, Mr. Speaker, to show. Instead, this budget continues the pattern of announcements without delivery, projects without timeline, and spending without clear, measurable improvements in the lives of the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Martinique. Mr. Speaker, until this budget reflects the reality of the people of this country, we cannot say things are happening. Mr. Speaker, a budget is not the collection of numbers merely. It is a reflection of priorities, a reflection of vision and leadership, and that is what we are not seeing in this budget. What we have before us is a document that fails to meet the moment, considering the local, regional, and international context. We are navigating, Mr. Speaker, a world that is filled with challenges. Challenges and tension, Mr. Speaker, affected trade and investment. Inflationary pressures, Mr. Speaker, at the global level, climate-related destruction and uncertainties, declining donor disbursement, Mr. Speaker, and support, rising energy and transportation costs. Mr. Speaker, the challenges out there are real. In such a global environment, Mr. Speaker, Grenada needs a budget that is bold, a budget that is grounded, a budget that is strategic, that would suit the situation that we're in. Mr. Speaker, the one before us is disconnected from the struggles of the people. So, Mr. Speaker, despite the public narrative, I close by reminding us of the reality. The overall deficit remains a massive $309.8 million. Grants have collapsed by 46.7%, signaling declining donor confidence. Capital execution continues to be weak. Recurrent expenditure balloons while service delivery declines. The new initiative category classifies all spending under new labels to mask recurrent growth, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the capital budget, when we look at it, did not simply decrease, it was slashed by almost 200 million, a decision that strikes at the heart of national development, sustainable national development. This single act, Mr. Speaker, would choke investment, stall critical projects, and suffocate economic growth of our people. Our people deserve honesty. They deserve competence, Mr. Speaker. They deserve a government that acknowledges the present situation with real solution. The absence of real action speaks more than eloquent speeches. Just in 2025, the so-called transformation agenda, once marketed as Grenada's proud flagship, has been watered down. Not a theme, not a chapter in this budget on transformation as was before. Not a measurable outcome announced. Mr. Speaker, did you hear how many new jobs would be created by this budget? Not a word, Mr. Speaker. A quiet confession that the transformation agenda never had a real strategy. It was just what it is, a slogan. Mr. Speaker, in good conscience, I just cannot praise this budget. It does not seriously address the critical issue that concerns Grenadians, cost of living. Mr. Speaker, the second, I believe, critical issue, it does not address health care. If you ask any Grenadian, what are the two issues affecting you most? I am certain you would hear health care, cost of living. And if you have a budget that does not seriously drive into addressing those two issues, it is a budget that has failed the people. Mr. Speaker, this budget does not provide economic opportunity and hope for our young people. It does not strengthen our productive sector. It does not prepare Grenada for the future as it relates to climate change and economic shocks in any serious way. It will not restore donor confidence to rebuild fiscal stability. This budget has failed the people. Mr. Speaker, this 2026 budget is not merely disappointing. It is a damning indictment of a government adrift in incompetence and shadowed by suspicions. We were promised transformation. Instead, we witnessed a calculated strategy of deception where public funds vanished and people are still without homes in Carriacou. People are without adequate health care. And, Mr. Speaker, fundamentally, there's a security issue. The staggering $215 million squandered on relief efforts for Carriacou and Petite Martinique with very little to show. Don't tell us 50 houses. We should be on more than 200 build-back houses, coupled with an alarming $20 million again budgeted for 2026, forces us to demand answers about the accountability in this program. Even donors, Mr. Speaker, are asking questions about the accountability. This administration inherited a robust economy and has systematically dismantled it, creating record deficits while cutting crucial services and inflating its own expenditure. From neglect of the most vulnerable to our social programs and underfunding of our healthcare system to allowing our national security to crumble, this administration has perfected the art of PR without performance, groundbreaking without completion, promises over promises. Mr. Speaker, the people of Grenada, they are not looking for recycled initiative. They deserve a government that serves them. They deserve to know, not on a need-to-know basis. They deserve accountability. And this budget is a monument to self-interest. Just look at where the overspending is. Look at where the advance payments are. Look at the spending in health. Mr. Speaker, compare that, and you must conclude it's a monument to self-interest and a profound betrayal of the trust of the people of this country. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is a time for real answers, real actions, real accountability. In closing, I assure the people of Grenada my commitment is unwavering. Our team will continue to defend your interests. We will continue to fight for fairness, accountability, and opportunity. And we will continue to champion the policies that would lift our nation. Mr. Speaker, members of this team, Mr. Speaker, will expand on several areas that I've addressed this morning and on other areas that I did not. Mr. Speaker, we continue this debate for the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. But it would be remiss of me, Mr. Speaker, to end without expressing sincere appreciation. First and foremost, to give glory and honor to God Almighty. It is His grace, His wisdom, and protection that continue to guide me through the responsibility of public life. I remain deeply grateful for His unending strength. Mr. Speaker, my family, my husband, my children, my mother, and others, their love and support, I would never be ashamed to publicly say that I do rely on their support. Your patience remain a major part of my foundation. To my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, in the opposition, I thank you for your support. I thank you for your dedication. As simple as it is, I was moved this morning when my sister knelt down to plug on the charger for me. Mr. Speaker, this team, Mr. Speaker, continues to encourage me. To my dedicated staff and the support team, those who continue to encourage and support, those who pray for me daily, I truly am grateful to you. To the chairman and leadership, rank and file of the New National Party, I will never end this presentation not recognizing your continued support and your contribution in this journey. To the people of St. Andrew Southeast, this one is special. I thank you for your continued trust in me. I thank you for walking with me on this journey. I thank you for allowing me to be a voice in this house to represent you over these years. I say to you this morning, I proudly remain committed to serving you with love, integrity, and unwavering dedication to this service. This morning, I also say thanks to Mr. Speaker, yourself, other members of the team. I want to express appreciation for the new acting Clerk of Parliament who, overnight, fitted in perfectly in providing support to this process. Mr. Speaker, I want to say this together. Let us continue to put our country first as we build upon the legacy of the new National Party's government that cannot be erased. I encourage this government, let us build on it. We are quite comfortable, let's build on it. A legacy of good governance, equal opportunity, compassion, accountability, and service to people. A legacy that would never embrace hate, spite, intimidation, and political fear. We stand together, Mr. Speaker, for a better Grenada, a united Grenada for all, where every child has a chance, every family gets support, and every community has opportunities. That's the Grenada we continue to look forward to. Mr. Speaker, every citizen, where every citizen has dignity. Mr. Speaker, this was not intentional, but I add this. Mr. Speaker, I want to say this morning, I absolutely do not support bullying on social media. I absolutely do not support disrespect on social media. But the other thing I don't appreciate, Mr. Speaker, don't encourage it, don't push it, Mr. Speaker, and then threatens to take legal steps to address the issue, Mr. Speaker. Let us jointly all, unitedly, Mr. Speaker, stand for a safe environment even on social media. Grenada belongs to all of us, Mr. Speaker, and together, let us build a better Grenada for all. May God bless this honorable house, Mr. Speaker. May God bless the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Kitchener. I thank
you. Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.